Welcome back. This is All Angles. We are live from the Lovedale Press in Alice eThekwini in the Eastern Cape, and we're shining the spotlight on the status of this place as a heritage site of huge importance and significance to South Africans. Let me jog your memory back a little bit. You remember when Sipho Pityana spoke at the funeral of the late Reverend Makhenkesi Stofile and used an expression there and said, "Zemgi inkomo magwalandini," and it resonated with the people that were there. He was lamenting, of course, the situation around corruption and the ANC's inability to deal with it. Resonated with the people who were there, but also South Africans broadly. It's kind of difficult to explain this isiXhosa expression, but basically, if you were to be literal about it, we're losing our cattle, you cowards, while you're sitting and doing nothing. But in essence, it basically talks also to losing your inheritance, and you have, in the midst of your inaction about the situation. Well, I'm hoping that this will be one of those Zemgi inkomo magwalandini moment in as far as preserving the heritage of an institution such as this Lovedale Press, which is almost 200 years old. And in fact, if I can go on and quote Thandiswa Mazwai and say, "Nizilibele ukuba nizalwa ngobani," and it would be really a sad situation where we forget our lineage. Intellectual lineage, in terms of the output coming through from here, is what I'm focusing on today. I'm still in conversation with Ati Padrahoga, an artist who's been at the forefront of trying to raise funds for the restoration and preservation of the legacy of Lovedale Press, as well as Reverend Bongani Ntisana here at Lovedale Press, as well as Professor Sakela Buhlungu of University of Fort Hare. Reverend, let me bring it back to you. Locate us. Where are we? What are we seeing here now? I know that this is not the original Lovedale Press, and there are various reasons why that is. But it is the most direct lineage that links us to that institution from 1823.
Yes, Vutulas, we are at a printing press now. The printing press was moved after the fire that happened in 1985 to this new site. And then we were printing here and trying to improve our quality of printing and the outlook even of our covers. We did it from here, trying at least to be more modern. And this is a site that was chosen because Alice Bookshop was also operating next door here. Then to manage this whole operation had to be coming under one roof. That is the printing press, the publishing wing, and the bookshop. And also there was a distribution of stationery and other textbooks from other publishers that was done also from these premises. So this is where we are. That is the last site of Lovedale Press as it was managed by the church.
So just talk to me about, Reverend, what it is that can be done to preserve Lovedale Press, because as I said, I mean, Zemgi inkomo magwalandini. We risk really losing something that is of huge value to us as Africans, as we've painted this picture of the various literary icons that have either produced their work at Lovedale, or in the case of people such as, Khubusane, W.B. Khubusane, were people who were alumni of Lovedale College.
Thank you very much, Tatus Melan. We are thinking that if we partner with the right people like Forte and maybe other institutions around the Eastern Cape, we can still go on publishing. But we are also thinking that, as you are saying, we don't want to lose our historical part, that is the maybe creating a museum of Lovedale. We have the old site registered in our name because when this place was being auctioned, we bought that place. So it's still there next to Victoria Hospital. That is where we think maybe we can also make a museum and give history to these books like you are talking about Zemkinkomo. That was published by us, written by Dr. Huwesan. And many other books now that are historical, like Imibengo, and many other books that were used even recently by Ota to Tamsan, and books that are still very valuable. As Agota to Chotane, Nabanyo Tatu Chotane, or TM Chotane, that are with us.
Ati, so just from your efforts then, Victory of the Word, what is it that South Africans can do? What is the call to action? Are we talking here, Ati, about preserving the operational status of Lovedale Press such that people such as Reverend Disana continue to be able to, publish and keep the economy of this small town in Alice that is linked to the economy of Fort Hare University and other institutions here going? Or are we talking more the whole issue of preserving a national and an African heritage, or is it a bit of both from your efforts?
From Victory of the Word and Val's efforts, we are very much concerned about the people on the ground. I think that our conversation is a result of human relationships, intergenerational relationships as well. So the fundraiser that we did was to take care of people who basically were under lockdown as well in creation. The second part was to bring attention to Lovedale College and not to Lovedale Press and the works in the Lovedale Press like Zemkinkomo Gwalandini and Omandisa in a way that the younger generation can embody it. Because sometimes an archive, as we have seen in South Africa in the last couple of months from the Cape Town fire to Liliesfield, it can disappear. So we need to embody it. We need to put it in our bodies and put it in our minds, perform them, translate them, and do various other acts. And I think that the big institutions can do stuff like that. But with Val, we are working within the arts and cultural inspiration that we get from Lovedale, and contemporary Lovedale, that is, which is the one that is standing on Garden Street.
All right. Ati, in a moment, I'll give you a moment to share your details in terms of how people can get involved with that fundraising effort, but not before I ask Professor Sakela Buhlungu to weigh in as well. Prof, how do we preserve all of this? How do we make this, I was talking about it being a citadel of African intellectual output, not only in South Africa and not only in Southern Africa, but on the African continent. How do we ensure then that beyond the 200 years, this history is preserved? Which doors do we need to be knocking on? What people need to come on board in as far as this partnership is concerned, starting with yourselves, of course, as the University of Fort Hare?
Right. Thank you very much. Let me, this is a very important part that I need to outline in a bit of detail. If you step outside that building where you are at Tulasizwe, there's a plate there which we as a university put up on the occasion of our centenary in 2016, which tells the story of the relationship between Fort Hare and Lovedale Press. That's the one thing. So it is that press is an institution that's very close to our hearts as a university. That's point number one. Point number two, there are very immediate things about Lovedale Press. One of them, we got involved through the legal clinic of the university, was to basically to ensure that the eviction order by the landlord, by the owner of that building, was stayed. And we managed, working with people inside the press, to do something and hold off, and to ensure that that eviction is held off until a proper discussion is held. So that's one thing. So the Fort Hare, University of Fort Hare Clinic, Law Clinic, has been involved in that way, working with us, and we delegated them to do that. The third issue, and this is very important, and I don't wish here to preempt bigger discussions that are taking place. But I can say safely that we as a university are working together with at least 3 other institutions. And those discussions are at a fairly advanced stage to talk about Lovedale Press and its future. Some of the issues that Reverend Tisana was mentioning, for example, those are part of the mix. The issue about a museum, the issue about the press itself. But some of it is this, and this is very important. In those discussions, people are aware that Lovedale Press will never be that press of 1823, of 1850, whatever it is. The printing and publishing has taken strides since then. So it would have to be a press of the modern era, which is basically present, of course, on hard copy, but even more important, that has a serious and significant footprint on the electronic kind of platforms. And so that's where things are. I should also say that part of the reason why...
Thank you for your time, as well as Ati Padra Huga, as well as Reverend Tisana. I really appreciate this conversation.